We have more favorite fantasy players to stake our reputation on for 2025. We reveal our ride or die running backs and tight ends on today's episode of Locked On Fantasy Football.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NFL fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Fantasy Football Podcast. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm one of your co-hosts, Michelle Magdziuk, and when I'm not doing this, I'm a researcher and fantasy analyst with NFL Network.
And I'm your other co-host, Vinnie Iyer. When I'm not doing this, I'm writing about NFL fantasy and betting for sportingnews.com.
Today, we are going to go and reveal our ride or die running backs and tight ends. We're going to give 2 running backs each and 1 tight end each. We did this with the wide receivers and the quarterbacks yesterday. So if you missed that, go listen. But these are guys that we want on all of our teams. We are ready to stake our claim, put our reputation on the line and saying these guys are going to be awesome this year for fantasy, especially where they're going in the draft. So Vinny, who is your first ride or die fantasy running back for 2025?
Yeah, I'm a little bit sad that his cost has been going up and up and up and up, but he deservedly is seeing now solid RB2 status. That's Omarion Hampton, the rookie out of North Carolina to the Chargers in the first round. Now, everything is kind of lined up perfectly in this preseason for Hampton. We had the Najee Harris fireworks mishap or whatever. And then that kind of put Harris behind him. I mean, he was new to the team as well. He was the free agent signing in March before the team decided to splurge and use a first rounder on Hampton. They said goodbye to J.K. Dobbins, and Gus Edwards really blew up the backfield. And this was a pretty productive backfield. The touchdowns were plenty. They shot up well into the double digits. There's a lot of rushing from this team. Now, I don't know how much receiving Hampton will have. I think he certainly can do a little bit more. I think that's why they went and got Hampton and Harris, because they can do that. Because we know Dobbins isn't a great receiver, and Edwards is basically 0 in the passing game. So they pretty much said, we need to blow up this backfield, give us a little bit more versatility from down to down, where we're not maybe telegraphing, okay, we're going to pass here, we're going to pound the ball here. It wasn't like that, right? So they want to get Hampton, a guy that can handle the load on early downs. I think Harris was to hedge their bets a little bit because he's a guy that has been durable, and neither Dobbins or Edwards was durable. So then you look at Hampton, again, the role continues to increase. He looks good. This offensive line should still be better, even without Rashawn Slater in there. Like, all the run blocking assets are there. It's Jim Harbaugh. It's Greg Roman. They want to run the ball, set up the downfield passing for Justin Herbert. So Omarion Hampton is going to be as good as advertised. Look, if you combine what Dobbins and Edwards did, easily you had a very good running back here in fantasy. So RB15, still, I think, a little bit undervalued. I think he's a great candidate to crack the top 12, Michelle.
Yeah, I mean, you like these rookie running backs that get drafted in the first round of NFL drafts. They're normally a pretty good bet that they're going to hit for fantasy. And it was a shocking pick, right? They go out, they sign Najee Harris. You think he's going to have the backfield to himself. And then they use a first round pick on him. And it wasn't even like a huge necessity. That's what makes you really see here that like how much they believe in his talent. And if J.K. Dobbins can be the running back 17 on average last year, right? Like, I know the first couple weeks he was so efficient, but he really died off after that in efficiency. But they still like, and it's not like he had the whole backfield to himself either. Gus Edwards had it. So, if Najee Harris gets his snaps, I don't think it's going to kill Hampton. I think Hampton getting this time in training camp as the dude while Najee Harris has been out is huge for him to immediately, probably be the starter for this team. And like you brought up, he should be a lot more involved in the passing game than the running backs were last year, because that just wasn't Dobbins or Gus Edwards' skill set. And it is Hampton's and Harris's skill set. So I am excited for Omarion Hampton. And I think that running back 15 cost is still plenty fair for him. I don't think it's too high just yet. Now, my ride or die running back, it's Bucky Irving. And his price has actually been dropping. I mean, earlier in this offseason, he was going, he was ranked running back 7 in consensus rankings. And all of a sudden now he's going running back 10 in average draft position. And I was fine with running back 7, but I'm really happy with running back 10. I mean, he's going after Josh Jacobs and Jonathan Taylor and Devin Achane. I love that cost for him, especially now that in practice they've been working on his pass catching and downfield routes. And then you saw in the preseason game with that sick catch he had in the end zone from Teddy Bridgewater. So I do think he's going to be more utilized in the passing game because they don't want Rachaad White on the field all that much, right? Like we saw the change happen in this offense last year. The first half of the year, they're trying to make Rachaad White still a thing, but that completely flipped the second half where Bucky Irving really took over this backfield. And that's when you saw him shine in fantasy. I mean, from weeks 10 through 18, when Bucky Irving officially took over, which for a fourth round rookie to take over at any point in the season is impressive, but he did it by midseason. And from that period on, he was the running back 7 in average scoring. And that's a game in there where he only had 4 carries because he got hurt immediately. Right. And that's still including that game. So it would have even been better than that if he never got hurt. But that was only behind Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon Barkley, Bijan Robinson, Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor, and Chase Brown. He averaged nearly 19 points per game. In the 8 games, he had more than 10 carries. Fully expect him to have more than 10 carries in pretty much every game this year, right? Because 7 of those 8 games where he had more than 10 carries came from weeks 10 on. So he wasn't getting that workload before in the beginning of the season, but continued to get it in the second half of the season. Those points would have put him slightly lower than Derrick Henry and right with Bijan Robinson of what he scored last year. And Bijan Robinson was the running back 4. All of his metrics say that Bucky Irving is a fantastic running back. His yards per carry, his forced missed tackle rate, it led the league, actually. 37% of rush attempts he forced a missed tackle. That's among running backs with 200 carries. The next closest was Bijan Robinson at 32%. His expected points added per carry was 3rd among running backs behind only Jahmyr Gibbs and Derrick Henry. Irving's a really, really good running back. And I think the Bucs are going to lean on him this year fully as a workhorse. And he's expected to be on an awesome offense, right? With a lot of scoring. So all those things combined, I think Bucky Irving has top 3 potential this year.
Yeah, what we learned last year is a big deal, is that when you change kind of the philosophy of your coaching staff and your offense, things are going to flip. And the newer players are going to have more attractiveness to be featured. And we saw that. Rachaad White basically is a holdover from having a Tom Brady receiving back. And then we've seen that. I mean, Rachaad White has had trouble displacing anybody out of necessity. He's done it, but not when there's been another option like Leonard Fournette was there. He was a little bit more effective for what Brady wanted to do. Bucky Irving came in and was special. I think Rachaad White is okay, but I think his skill set is rather limited. He was inflated a little bit by just his pure usage in the offense, right? When they needed him, he had to be the guy. Where they brought in Bucky Irving, he took over immediately. Like, if you just take away his draft status, change his name, you'd think he's one of those elite backs. Like, we'd start to look at him a little bit differently here. But definitely the elite production was there. I think him and Chase Brown are the interesting guys from last year that broke out. But Irving or Brown, I think these are 2 targets I'm going to make. And I'll be happy if one of them is my RB1 this year. And then another thing to keep in mind, Liam Cohen, look the effect. I mean, just keep that in the back of your head. If there's something with a Tank Bigsby, Travis Etienne situation that changes, the difference is they didn't pick Bigsby. They're in Jacksonville, but Liam Cohen is there. You're saying the same thing. They didn't pick Brian Robinson in Washington, so they're going in a different direction. So the hand-picked player that's tailored to an offense, and the Bucs, I know they had a change with Cohen leaving Jacksonville, but really with Josh Grizzard, it's just an extension of what they were doing last year. So that's also important, where they didn't blow up the entire scheme, and that means they're going to still continue to like Irving all around. So I'm behind it. He's a guy, again, I'm okay if I miss that tier of Christian McCaffrey, even with the injury issues, Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, Devin Achane now with an injury, Josh Jacobs. If I miss that tier, I'm totally okay if I can make sure I have Irving or Brown at the end of it. So I'm excited. I think this is a great call by you. And again, I think we're going to disagree a little bit in our next running backs overall, but we'll get into those. But these are definitely the 2 guys who are banging the table most for Hampton Irving. We'll talk about 2 other guys that, again, may not be as much consensus in our next segment. This episode is brought to you and presented by Yahoo Fantasy. It's the best time of the year. NFL kickoff is almost here, and that means Fantasy football season is back in full swing, and this year Yahoo Fantasy is turning things up with a fantasy football experience like never before. This year, Michelle and I are playing on Yahoo Fantasy, and you should too, whether you're a first time or a veteran making your millionth league. That's about where I am with Yahoo, but I love Yahoo. It's so familiar. I've used it for years, and the updates they're rolling out this month are wild in the best way. Whether you're all in on something new, or you like sticking to head-to-head leagues or jumping into public leagues, Yahoo has got you covered as usual. To celebrate 28 years of fantasy football greatness, Yahoo Fantasy is dropping 28 big new features over 28 days throughout this month of August. To kick it off, they just dropped Yahoo Fantasy Guillotine Leagues, a killer new way to play fantasy football in Yahoo, where the lowest-scoring team gets eliminated each week until there's one team left standing. With the season just around the corner, now's the time to get your league together and give this new mode a try. If you're more into the classics, you can still play in head-to-head private leagues or join a public league. Stay tuned for more killer announcement and start playing Yahoo Fantasy only now at yahoofantasy.com/lockedonnfl. All right, Michelle, we'll see how we feel about these two picks. Running back can be a very polarized position. I'll just say that. So I'll let you reveal your next guy. We gave you two guys inside the top 20. These two guys are just outside the top 20. Who's your second ride or die running back to draft in 2025?
Yeah, just like yesterday with Jerry Jeudy being my wide receiver ride or die, I did not see this guy being my ride or die at the start of this offseason, but I'm talking myself into him more and more and more, and I just can't overlook his cost right now. And it's Tony Pollard right now going as the running back 25. He was a running back 21 overall last year, despite playing on one of the worst offenses in the league with the Titans and only scoring 5 touchdowns all season long. Now, maybe the Titans offense won't be, top half of the league, but I do expect them to be much better with Cam Ward there, their first overall pick. Seems like he's shining in camp. He's coming along as a rookie. So fully expect him to be much better than Will Levis, right off the bat. And then also their offensive line last year, it was the second worst run blocking team per PFF, the Titans were last season. Now, again, I don't expect them to be completely fixed, but they added Kevin Zeitler, who's a very good guard. They added Dan Moore, who hopefully will be an upgrade for them, but they paid up in free agency. And then JC Latham, their tackle that they took in the first round last year, he's headed into his second season, right? Also, Pollard already saw 301 touches last year. And that shocked me. And he was also 41 receptions, third on the team. And I don't really see there a reason to believe he won't see similar or more work, right? If this offense is actually able to move the ball and stay on the field more, maybe stay in some games where he's actually able to run in the second half. You can only expect the touches to actually increase. Tajay Spears can't stay healthy. He's already injured again. He was dealing with a high ankle sprain. He's out for the preseason. So I just think looking at his usage, looking at the amount of work he's going to get, and also looking at his production last year on a terrible team without scoring touchdowns, like 11 games last year, Pollard had over 10 plus carries. He averaged 99 scrimmage yards and 13.8 fantasy points per game in those games. That's 11 games where he was averaging a really solid amount of fantasy points. That's the same amount of fantasy points as Breece Hall was averaging last year. And Breece Hall's going way earlier in the draft. Again, like if Pollard does what he did last year, you're not going to be thrilled, but I think it's going to be better in a better offense. So I think he's a really, really, really solid running back too that you can draft as an RB25. So going outside the RB2 range. I think he's going to be on a lot of my teams.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm going to just be locked into riding or dying with Tony Pollard, but I definitely want to target him. And I think the funny thing, this is the weird thing that's happened to the Titans. They had the number 1 overall pick. A quarterback was taken. He had some good momentum going into the draft. We're not talking about the Titans at all. There's been very little discussion about this team. And partly as the national media, they're not going to necessarily talk about the team in Nashville with Cam Ward. Like, he's not going to move it. I mean, the rookie quarterback we've heard the most about is a 5th-round pick in Cleveland. And that's a little bit wrong, right? That keeps the Titans flying under the radar. And I think a lot of those things that we had, remember all those vibes we had, okay, maybe Will Levis is onto something here with Calvin Ridley, and there was some upside in this offense last year. I think some of that happened, but now we should be very excited about this team, right? Cam Ward is a big upgrade over Will Levis. he can do a lot more. He's got Ridley. He's got Pollard. These are not just slouch weapons. I mean, they've had big fantasy seasons before on other teams, right? So, again, I think maybe they're just in general flying under the radar as a team, which is just odd, but that's what it is, right? Because they're the Titans. And with Ridley, again, he's a guy that I would look at. Pollard, again, these are the primary weapons of this team. And it's not like this team has a ton of weapons. So they're going to have to put the ball in the hands of these guys quite a bit. If Spears is not available, like we have to maybe pour it out for him, and that's it. Like no more Tyjae Spears, buzz or truthers or whatever. It's over if he can't be on the field even anymore, because that's his number one problem. He's a little dude, and he's never really been on the field, where Tony Pollard is, I think, proved he's a little bit more durable than we thought, maybe from his Dallas days, right? He wasn't ever overworked there, so that kind of made him fresh legs when he came to Tennessee. So I do like your pick. I would fall short of riding or dying with him, but if he was out there, I think he should be going as an RB2 and not as an RB3. Now, my guy, we'll find out a little bit more why we disagree about this, but I have RJ Harvey of the Broncos, and I'm just looking at the environment mainly is the reason for RJ Harvey, right? I look at this entire environment. J.K. Dobbins can't stay healthy, so he's a little bit like Tyjae Spears, except he's done a little bit more things in the NFL. He just can't stay healthy. So I don't trust him too much. They signed him late. They were excited about getting RJ Harvey and replacing Javonte Williams. They want to run the ball. They want to be effective throwing the ball to the running back. This is Sean Payton and Joe Lombardi. They know if they have a pass-catching back or a change of pace back, how to use it, going back to Alvin Kamara. So, again, this is partly the player, but it's more the Broncos and knowing what they're doing and their situation. And again, they needed a running game to help take pressure off Bo Nix. It's a very defensive-oriented team, so you think they want to have some complementary usage there. So really, RJ Harvey could be maybe even a lesser rookie, and I might think about him, but he's a very talented player. So I'm just looking at this and saying, look, the environment is good. The usage could be very good. And again, I'm not too worried about Dobbins. Now, is it maybe a little aggressive? It might be RB21, but am I comfortable with that cost? Yeah, I'm okay with it because, again, the Broncos are, like it or not, they're an ascending team, even though we're down on Bo Nix, partly because I think they'll have more legitimate running game this year. I think another team that we're not talking about as much, they went to the playoffs. They had a good rookie quarterback last year. So I really feel good about RJ Harvey. But look, the talent is there, but the environment makes me lean there even more.
Yeah. So spoiler alert, we're doing the opposite of these episodes the next 2 days, where it's like, never will I ever draft these guys at cost or near cost, right? And RJ Harvey is a strong consideration for my running back selection. So I'm not going to dig in too much about why I don't love him. I'll save it for that episode. But this is the first like big difference, right, over these last 2 days. I can't jump on the RJ Harvey train at his cost. I do think like if J.K. Dobbins goes down, absolutely, like Harvey will be good for his, be good. But I'm very, very worried about multiple things when it comes to Harvey in fantasy this year. So I will be getting into all of that on Friday. So you can hear my argument then, but I don't want to spoil it all right now. We're going to move on to our ride or die tight end. We'll give you each of our favorite tight ends for this season. And guys, we're staking our reputation on right after a quick break. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Game Time comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Game Time makes it possible. Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get the first pitch. And they've got incredible last minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. Plus, Game Time is now the official ticketing partner of Locked On MLB, making it easy to browse the app for an exciting upcoming MLB game. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms to apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL. That's Locked On NFL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, Vinny, it is time to reveal our ride or die tight end. Who are you going with?
Yeah, I'm mixing it up a little bit. I'm going on the higher end here. I mean, we all know the old adage, take a tight end early or take a tight end late, whatever. Everyone has said that over and over again. I don't think it's 100% true. There's some guys in the middle that you can also target and get some good value, but I'm going early, and this is based on how things are going in the rankings and average draft position. It is Sam LaPorta of the Lions. Now, what I'm seeing in the rankings is, I'm sure a lot of you are too, Brock Bowers there close to the first round. Not far behind Trey McBride in the second-ish round. Not far behind him is George Kittle in the third round, or ish, right? And then you drop off and you keep looking and you keep looking. And then Sam LaPorta is a couple rounds, 3 rounds later in some cases where Sam LaPorta is going. And I don't think there's that much of a drop off there between those, quote, big 3 and Sam LaPorta. It really should be a big 4. I think this is kind of dissing Sam LaPorta. Look, the only thing that kind of brought him down last year is he didn't score at a high rate that he did as a rookie, and that's brought him down. But I think he's back in the mix to score. I actually think this Lions passing game will be a little bit more frequent in terms of the just throwing the ball with Jared Goff. I think that's the concepts they want to do here with, look, they have 3 very good targets between him, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Jameson Williams. They can throw the ball all over the field, and LaPorta is a very good red zone presence, as we've seen. So a few more touchdowns, and he would be cooking and be right near where he was as a rookie. I mean, scoring at that rate was incredible as a rookie. He's just such a good talent in a very good offense. Again, look, there's some philosophies that have changed, but Goff still likes to throw to tight end. He still likes to throw to slot, who's Amon-Ra for much of that. So I think some of these like basic concepts with Jared Goff are going to be there again. We know this Lions offense is going to score plenty. I mean, are we sure the Cardinals are going to be as prolific, or the Raiders? I mean, we know the 49ers definitely could be. But when you look at this situation, I mean, the cost of LaPorta is just so good. And then you go to TJ Hawkinson, there's immediate questions, right? He came back from the injury, but there are some little questions there with exactly what his role can be. And then you get the David Njoku, Evan Ingram range of guys, and then you're a little less sure on what you're going to do. But if I take Sam LaPorta, I didn't reach for him. I didn't take him too early. I loaded up with other positions, struck at the right spot, and I'm still going to get an elite tight end production. Who easily LaPorta could be the tight end 1 on the board, right? There's no one would be shocked if that happens. So that's where I see the value is early if I'm going to go there at tight end.
Yeah, I love Sam LaPorta this year. And I agree with you. It should be the top 4, like the elite 4 tight ends, right? So him going a good amount after those top 3, I love it. And if I'm in my draft and I don't end up with, I'm never taking Bowers at his current cost, probably. Like I really love Bowers and I think he will finish super high, but his cost is just crazy right now in the top of the second round. But if I don't end up with Trey McBride or George Kittle, who could have easily been my ride or die guy, but everyone loves him. He's going early, so I kind of avoided that. Or Sam LaPorta. I am waiting then. And there's a lot of guys in the middle rounds where I'm just not that excited for. And I'm then waiting for my ride or die guy. And it's rookie tight end Tyler Warren from the Colts. He was drafted 14th overall in the draft, really high draft capital, right? And he lands in a spot where he actually has a chance to be the top target on his team. There is no dominant wide receiver he's playing with. Michael Pittman's fine. Josh Downs is fine. Alec Pierce is fine. But Tyler Warren could truly be the guy they lean on in this offense. And so far in the preseason, it's looking like that, right? He's played 34 snaps over the first 2 preseason games, and he already has 6 targets on those 34 snaps, 4 receptions, 65 yards, and averaging over 16 yards per reception. And Daniel Jones just got announced as the winner of the job. And that, I think that's great, right? For Tyler Warren and the rest of the pieces of this offense over Anthony Richardson, who could be more inconsistent. Well, I mean, Daniel Jones is very inconsistent too, but in this preseason, 5 of those 6 targets did come from Daniel Jones. 59 of those 65 receiving yards did come from targets from Daniel Jones, averaging 20 yards per reception from Daniel Jones. And he played 20 snaps with Daniel Jones and 14 with Anthony Richardson. And with Anthony Richardson, he only saw that 1 reception for 6 yards. So I do think that's as good for Tyler Warren that Daniel Jones won the job. Hopefully he can keep it and he isn't a disaster. but also like he just has so much upside. He's going as a tight end 10. And the last 2 seasons, like it used to be unheard of that like a rookie tight end, we're expecting him to be great. But the last 2 seasons, we've had a rookie tight end be the tight end 1 overall in fantasy with Sam LaPorta 2 years ago and Brock Bowers this last year. And Tyler Warren, I mean, was absolutely a beast at Penn State. The numbers he put up, he was that entire offense. He's completely capable of being a focal point of an offense. And when you're looking at the tight ends he's going around, it's, Evan Ingram, Tucker Kraft, Colston Loveland, another rookie that probably has upside, but I just think that Tyler Warren has a way better opportunity for targets. Dalton Kincaid, like Jake Ferguson, he has so much more upside than these guys. Like those guys don't have top 3 upside. Tyler Warren does. So that's why I am looking to take him because it maybe he falls on his face as a rookie tight end. I just don't really see that being the case with how much opportunity he's going to get. But I also won't be surprised at all if he's a top 3 fantasy tight end this year. And you're not able to find that in the double-digit rounds all that often, right? And that's where Tyler Warren is going around. So love him this year. And I think I'm willing to take that risk on a rookie tight end.
Yeah, I'm not sure why Tyler Warren's not getting kind of the overhype that Colston Loveland is. Maybe just the Bears, again, maybe some bigger attitudes about them with Caleb Williams, but this Colts quarterback situation probably clouded a lot of buzz around Indianapolis. But this is a great situation for Tyler Warren that Daniel Jones was named the starter because Anthony Richardson is going to do 2 things that kill this type of receiver's fantasy value. He's going to take too many deep shots and not look to the intermediate routes where the tight end is streaking across the field, ready to make big plays after the catch. The other thing he was going to do is going to check down, take off. Well, his version of checking down is taking off and running and not throwing to the underneath routes and intermediate guys. So this is good news for Tyler Warren because, the execution has been there. The chemistry has been there between him and Daniel Jones. Going back to Daniel Bellinger, Jones, when he has a good tight end, he likes to throw to that position often. He's going to go out and execute the offense. I think this is actually a sneaky good development for Michael Pittman Jr. too, versus Josh Downs and Alec Pierce, because Alec Pierce needs a deep ball and some chucker like a Richardson or a Joe Flacco to get him involved. Josh Downs, a little bit of a big play guy, but Pittman could get involved, but Pittman and Warren play very similar roles, right, in how they get open for their quarterback. So Warren is the new model. He's exciting. This is exactly how I would play it, Michelle. I either get Sam LaPorta early or Tyler Warren late. I'm going to just forget all those names in the middle. If you're in a draft with me, I'm not going to look at those. Maybe in a tight end premium league, I jump in there. But these are the 2 absolute targets that everyone should go after based on their cost. Look, there's Jake Ferguson, who I kind of like, but he's more of a floor play right behind Warren, where Warren is the ceiling play, and I'm a ceiling drafter. So I do like Warren quite a bit. It's a great pick by you. Again, he probably would have been my pick if I'm not going LaPorta, but again, go for a guy that we know special, can be used all over the field, has the athleticism. I was shocked that Loveland went ahead of Warren in the draft. The Colts are probably going to feel good that they have Warren and not Loveland on their team this season.
Yeah, and I think both would be good NFL players, but Warren just has the opportunity for so many more targets this year and to shine immediately. So I'm a big fan. And again, George Kittle would be my answer here, but it was too obvious. George Kittle, I think, is one of the best picks in the entire draft this year. But if someone steals George Kittle from me and I don't land Sam LaPorta, definitely waiting and taking Tyler Warren. But that will be it for today's episode. We are going to get to the opposite side of this. Never will I ever draft these guys. We'll get to that on Thursday and Friday, so don't miss those episodes. Thank you all for making Locked On Fantasy Football your first listen every day. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye, y'all.